What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Boardroom podcast, Game on Financial podcast. My name is your local tax guy. I've got
Joseph Lingle here, manager of Game on Financial. And bringing you another episode. It's been a few weeks since we've been on. Obviously, this is being recorded the week after Thanksgiving. So coming off the holiday, been out of office. We've been out of whack a little bit.
This time of year is hard, man.
Yeah.
We talk about it in the office for work and stuff like that. But, man, this time of year is hard to record. I'm sure it's hard for our creators to make content, even though there's a new game out. Everybody's trying to see family. Everybody's trying to travel and do all these other things. So really tough time for us. But we are back with the podcast. And this is going to be a fun one because today we've got a very special guest, one of, my personal favorite creators, just because lately he's been on the rise. I mean, he's been crushing it, switched over to Kick. We'll talk about that. We'll let him talk about his story a little bit later. But Joseph, do you want to intro our guest today?
Yeah. So special guest today, content creator who we've worked with for a little while now and followed for a while. Somebody who, as Garrett alluded to, is on the rise, but also been in the scene for quite a while. Gaming content creator who has been streaming on Facebook for a long time, as well as, decent size on YouTube, and then recently switching over to Kick. And so we're excited to get him on here today. It is Fugglet, and we're exciid to just talk to him a little bit about, about his journey. And so, we'll let you, Fugglet, we'll let you talk a little bit about yourself. Main question of being just who you are, where you're from, and what kind of content do you make? Just let people know a little bit about you.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Fugglet. Nicholas is my real name, that some people know, but I started my YouTube stuff back in 2017, so I've been at it 6.5 years now. It's been
an OG.
Oh man, I started like way back in the day when ad revenue was good, everything was good. No,
the glory days, right?
Nothing's changed. But no, I always had this dream of like doing YouTube and stuff, but I felt like that's like when you saw YouTube is like, this is never going to be something that I'll be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then PUBG came out and I was like, you know what, that'd be kind of sick. So I watched some other creators do some stuff and I was like, it's not really too saturated yet. And I was like, how can I get somewhere? So I created some tips and tricks video and they just instantly took off.
Yeah.
And that literally set the channel up for success right after that. So I was one of the few that got lucky. Some people want to say it's all hard work. No, there's a lot of luck involved too. I came in at the right time, at the right video, and that took off. And then I kept pumping out that same content over and over until I transitioned into some just regular gameplay. And that kept taking off with PUBG. And today I'm still able to do what I do for some reason. It's been a journey, but
tell me this.
It's been good fun.
So first off, one question here would be, where are you from? Because I don't think a ton of people know. Obviously, you have somewhat of an accent, and we kind of know the backstory behind it. But tell some people about where you're from and kind of how you got into gaming in general. Because obviously, you talk about PUBG. Some people know PUBG. Some people may not. Younger people that may be watching. But talk about like just how you got into gaming in general, and then obviously, like where you're from and all that.
Yeah, I've been gaming since I was a little toddler, dude. It's been way back. It started out with a PlayStation 1, Game Boys, whatever the heck there was. Good old Need for Speed games, all that stuff. And everybody's been into World of Warcraft. Okay, if you were in the early 2000s gaming, you probably known or played, at least lost some part of your life to that game, me included. But my name is Nicholas, which is a little different. I'm from Denmark, which is why my accent is a little all over the place, which a lot of people come into my stream and they try to place my accent. And I guess it kind of sounds like a bunch of different places just mashed into.
What do you get? What do you get a lot from people?
Oh man, I get all over the US, all over the EU. Like some people say Boston, some people say Germany, some people say Sweden and Denmark. It's all over the place. But I am from Denmark, so some people get it right.
Yeah.
But
that's
kind of also gets it from my name a little bit, I think. So. But nah, man, I'm 30 years old. I look freaking 15. That's great. Hopefully that sticks when I'm 70 and look 40. That'll be magnificent. But no, I've been gaming my whole life. I've never really, as said, like I started watching streamers and people doing streaming when that popped up after Justin TV when it turned into Twitch TV. I was like, this is kind of a weird concept. It's kind of cool, a little different from the original YouTube videos you'd watch on YouTube. That was already bumping a little bit before that on YouTube, so Twitch was kind of after that with live streaming. And yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd be able to do this today, but here we are. So
I feel like a lot of people that, you know, start to get into content creation, it's an easier in. It may be harder to grow, but it's an easier in to start with YouTube because you're making a video, you can edit it, you can play with it a lot before you upload it, right? It's a hard post. Versus live streaming is a lot more scary. You know, you're on the screen live, things are happening, you know, as we're doing this right now, same way. What kind of gave you the confidence to do that, to venture out, to start trying to live stream? Or was that something that you had always wanted to do? Or did you feel like you were a little bit more reserved and this was something that was going to be a hard step for you?
Well, the thing is my YouTube took off, so I didn't start streaming until after I'd done some YouTube. So I don't know if I was like at a 50K or 100K subs at that point.
Okay.
But I just got that initial like really big boost off the bat from PUBG. So I never had to deal with the face of sitting with 1, 2, 3 viewers. You know, some people grind for that for years, and then they start to get some traction, get the 10, 20, 50, 100, etc. I got that boost that took me off immediately to, I think it was floating a little less than 1,000 on PUBG because PUBG was the big thing then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the things I get asked the most is like, how do I get into content creation? What should I do?
Mm-hmm.
Do it all. Don't limit yourself to streaming because streaming is extremely hard if you're starting out. You either got to be above, like you got to be the 1%er in gaming if it's based on skill. You got to have some kind of unique character to you, you know, like look at the ones that are popping out that have that unique stuff going for it. I feel like Dr. Disrespect is a great example because he came out of nowhere and he just came in with his character and it took off immediately.
Oh yeah.
Entertainer.
Yeah, exactly. An entertainer. So while he's obviously not as good at sniping as I am, he's got the character for it. But no, like just you got to do it all. And that's like the number one thing I try to emphasize is you do streaming. Why not? That's fun. I mean, yeah, it's hard in the beginning, but try to just pretend that you're recording to at the same time, which you will be, because you can always download your stream or whatnot.
Yep.
So pretend like there's 1,000 viewers watching it when there might only be 1, 2, 3, and then you edit that into a video. You flop it up on YouTube, TikTok, Reels on Facebook, Shorts on YouTube. There's so many social media sites now that if your content is somewhat good, you're bound to get a home run at some point.
Yeah.
And you can take that from any creator too. We all that posts on all platforms. Like one video can do extremely bad on 3 platforms, but then on the 4th platform, it could take off.
Yeah,
and then you can gain a big following from that. So it's like the number one advice is to just do it all, or at least try to do it all.
Yeah. You mentioned, so you said something there, talking about Dr. Disrespect and kind of what he, and then, I mean, you could even say Ninja with the entertainment factor, just because when you think Ninja, you like, he released his sub badges earlier today, like on Twitter. And I'm like, that looks like that vibe. When I see that, I'm like, that's Ninja, right? He has that brand about him. What makes you, like, if I'm logging into Kick now, right, and I'm like, I'm trying to decide for the day, and it's different for me because we work with all, like, so many creators, but I want to be a part of a community. I don't know which one. I kind of want to get involved, right? Why would I pick yours over somebody else's? What do you bring to the table?
Is this a sell me this pen conversation?
Yeah, well, I just want to know because I love your content, and when I come in, like your CCV, you could probably tell me better than, you could tell me the number better than I could just spit it out. But it's not surprising for me to come in and see that you have 1,000 viewers, 700 viewers, or 1,300 viewers, right? Why is that? What have you done so successfully to build your community of those consistent people that come back and sub to you? What is it that brings them? I mean, you are entertaining. I'll give you that. You have the tree behind you and everything like that. But I want to hear you say, like, in your own words, kind of what makes you different.
I don't know, man. My viewer count live streaming fluctuates like crazy. I like to just play what I find fun. So I play a lot of Escape from Tarkov right now, which is not popular on Facebook or Kick. But man, I enjoy it and I have that tight community. So while I may only float between 200 and 400 viewers in that game, whereas if I popped up on Warzone, I'd be above that. It's just I like to do what I like to do, and with streaming, I'm not necessarily like I don't think of myself as like a main streamer first. It's more I use my stream as just a way to chill and not necessarily try to. That's not my number one way to grow. My number one way to grow is to make videos from that content and then drag those people into my live stream if they found it entertaining.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have anything like extremely unique about me that I'm like I'm way better than ABCD or anything. I just my community is tight and they're great people, and it feels like I'm gaming with a bunch of just the friends. You know, when I boot up the live, I know a lot of the people. Sure, there's new faces coming in and stuff, but I've memorized a lot of the people that are in there, which makes it it makes it fun and casual to do streaming for me.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you just said that I think maybe the answer to the question, kind of reading between the lines, is exactly what you just said. You're authentic, man. You're getting on there and you're just doing you, and you're playing what you want to play. And I think so many creators today that maybe got into content creation in the past 2-3 years, maybe since COVID, maybe even this year, they're looking for that key of who do I need to be? What character should I play? Maybe even to your point about Dr. Disrespect. What character am I when I'm live versus just being themselves? And I think the answer is true that not everybody can be successful in this industry because some people are just better at it than others. But I think that may be the answer for you, and just watching some of your content and to kind of your point about how you came up with, the YouTube content and doing well there. You took advantage of an opportunity that you had, of the growth that you saw on YouTube. And then now you feed off of that, right? You know kind of what people like to watch you play, what you enjoy, and you're just yourself. And I think that authenticity is like, it goes miles in this community of gaming specifically, but content creation as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I also like, I have been that way the whole time I've been doing it. I've just been doing what I want to do. I've never thought of it as just straight up work to make as much money as possible as quick as possible.
Right.
I've just always I wanted to have fun with it. I never want to boot up the stream and be like, all right, we gotta play friggin' Warzone again for 7 hours straight.
Right.
It's like this, I can't do that.
There's a lot of creators that do. There's a lot of creators out there that are sacrificing their mental health or their well-being to play something that they feel like they have to play. Or maybe it's not gaming. Maybe it's creating a different type of content because they feel like that's the only content that's going to get them paid. Or maybe it's taking brand deals, right? They're taking brand deals that they really maybe don't agree with the brand, or they don't love the brand, but it's because they feel like they have to do it for the money. And I mean, I would say, and you could speak to this, but that's probably a lot harder route to go than to your point of like, I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it'd be nice to have endless amount of moolah. I wouldn't want that, but you could also easily tell those people apart. Not saying anything negative about them, but when they do play games that they don't necessarily enjoy, people tend to use Twitter or X. Sorry, now as
Twitter.
A platform.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Thank you. Because like every time people send me a link where it's like x.com, I immediately think, should I be clicking this link? Like, got dirty stuff, or what's going on here? No, back to the point of like these some of these streamers that really just they're on one game and they don't necessarily like it anymore, and then after they're done with the stream, they go vent for hours and hours and tweets and tweets and tweets about how like this game is bad or how they should change this, and it's just so easy to tell. It's like, just play something else, try something new, branch out, man, do something different. Like I've done it multiple times too. One of my biggest videos was a Fortnite video that got 10 million views in a few days, maybe a week.
Wow.
That was like my largest of all time. And not long after that, and I mean that's a pretty good paycheck from the ad revenue, but I didn't have fun with Fortnite anymore, so I went back to PUBG or Apex Legends or whatever I was playing at the time. So for me, it's always been about having fun with it, because I don't know, that's how it was in the beginning. I had fun with it. I don't want to change that into, all right, we gotta be very strict with everything to make it work.
Yeah,
that's rare, man. Because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of creators that had they seen that outlier on their channel like that, they would probably have switched fully to that type of content, and then maybe burn out in 2 years and not create content at all anymore.
And that's like I've been close a couple of times with PUBG, because that was the first game that I had to branch out of, because it was my first game that I get into. So when you grow on one game, your audience is there mainly for one game, unless you got some really unique editing style that makes it like some pure comedy, and like, because then you could easily transition into other games. So it's a scary step to take for sure, but it helps long term to just have fun with what you do. And I think that goes for anything in the world. Like if you work a 9 to 5 that you don't enjoy at all, then that sucks, but there's got to be something different out there that you might find more entertainment in doing, or at least enjoying more to do.
Yeah, I think creators face the same issues that, you mentioned 9 to 5. They face these same issues in in a different way. I mean, that you're exactly right. If you're doing something you don't love, that's going to show through, man. And you mentioned it, somebody tweeting about the game and like, the game's in a bad state and this and that. We saw a lot of it with Warzone because we have a ton of Call of Duty creators, but that to me is, you can only do it. The Warzone was in a bad state in my opinion, but you can only talk about it so long before it's like, well, why do you keep playing it, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has that question in the back of their mind. I love the fact that you do what you want to do, right? And that we saw it, at a very, very, very large scale with like Nick Merckx, right? I mean, he switched from Call of Duty to Apex to Fortnite. Like he's rotated through so many, and he started with Gears of War. So, and through all that, he's had a consistent. He even worked out on stream, like he was doing that for the longest time. I don't know if he still does it. So, doing all that, he's authentic. He just is who he is, and he's accepted that, and he is. And same with Dr. Disrespect you mentioned earlier. I love that for you because that authenticism. Here we go. Big word. J-Man, look that up.
Authenticity.
Dictionary, please.
That's the one. Yeah. What am I doing? Authenticity. That authenticity. You say that may be the only thing that kind of sets you apart. I think that's the most important thing, right? Because that truly, even though Guy Beam dresses up as Dr. Disrespect, that's who he is. I mean, he's not like pretending to be Dr. Disrespect. No. He loves that, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's important, right? And I think you get on every day and you love, just like you said, you stream just for fun. You like to do it. You like to see the faces, the familiar faces come in and all that. I love that. When I go into those people's streams, because as much as we work with other creators, I'm still very much a fan, right? Like I love the fact that we get to work with creators and do a lot of the behind the scenes accounting, boring stuff that they don't want to do. But I also like just, going into their stream and saying, what's up, just coming through, watching their content, kind of I try to separate myself and being an observer, right? And not like, I have a connection with them somewhat, but I also just like watching.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the people who are authentic. I'm going to watch the people who are fun to watch, like your content, stuff like that. I'm going to do that 10 times out of 10 over somebody who, they're just forcing it.
Complaints,
like you said.
Right. Yeah. Nonstop.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I wanted to bring up, as you just were alluding to a little bit there, talking about going from game to game and things like that, is kind of gaming content as a whole versus other styles of content. As we run Game On Financial, obviously we're doing accounting services for content creators that's not just exclusive to gamers. And even some of the live streamers that we work with that mainly focus on live streaming, some of their content is not gaming. Could you talk a little bit about gaming content, being that that's what you've done, versus other styles of content, whether it be IRL, whether it be maybe influencer stuff on other platforms like Instagram influencers or things like that, and just maybe some of the pros and cons of either one, and then also like, what is your favorite content to make? Because I would assume it's gaming with your buddies, but I would just I would like to hear from you on kind of the difference between those two, because I know a lot of creators in the space as well that maybe do different types of content than you.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, my favorite content to make is like I have the squad I roll with, which is the Fast Squad, just the Stone Mountain 64, Aculite, Tomographic, and I in one bunch. And we've been gaming since the beginning of at least my stuff. Like I think we all got together in like early 2018 or so.
Some hilarious moments there.
Yeah. And every Friday now, which we started like over a year ago now, every Friday we sit down, we get together and we play some stupid whatever game. Meme game, as we like to call them, the whatever there is to play that we could have fun playing. And we've been that's literally just gaming with the buds and not really like, because it's something new every time and it's something fresh and it's something fun every Friday. So that's definitely my favorite type of content as of right now. Of course, sometimes when a brand new game comes in and you see some traction with that brings a little extra fun into it. People like to grow with what they do, of course, but gaming versus other types of content, I haven't really done like vlogging or anything like that yet. But I mean, I've seen people, and I think there's so many different things that you can do in this space, whether it's tech reviews, gaming, vlogging, modeling, whatever it may be. Like there's just so much to dig into, and the internet is so big that as long as you're having fun with it, then that's great. But people go, the burnout thing goes for every face of it too. I think I saw someone on Twitter, not X, yesterday. I think it was Andy what's his name?
Milanakis?
Yeah, I saw him tweet out about him getting burned down a RL stream because he's like flown around the world 17 million times and all this. So we want to get back to being creative and try something new.
Right.
So it goes in whichever field you decide to go for, the content you have fun with. You know, if you're a content creator, you still strive to be creative with your content.
Yep.
And just keep having fun with it, because you could do the same thing over and over again, but eventually most people, some won't, but most people kind of get bored of it and they want something new, do something new. I'm not talking about the viewers, I'm talking about you as the creator too, because if you play Warzone for 7 years straight, 5 hours a day, then you're bound to probably get bored eventually, right? So
yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. And I think that, you know, there is a few outliers out there that it's incredible to me. You know, one that comes off the top is like Cypher PK. He's been playing Fortnite since the beginning.
Yeah.
You go to his YouTube and just scroll. I mean, it's
but you can tell he still has fun with it too, right?
But that's exactly what I was about to say. It's because it's what he enjoys. Now, it's crazy to me that he can still enjoy it. I mean, obviously they change that game all the time, but yeah, for the most part, I definitely agree. I think that it's so important for people to kind of build in those changes and build in the kind of some of those checks and balances to understand, like, hey, why did I get into this in the first place? It's because of the creative aspect. It's because I get to do these new things and try these things and make content out of it. And if I just become this robot that logs on Twitch every day or Kick every day and streams me playing, you know, wagers or streams me playing kill races, it's like it might get really old really quick and takes the fun out of it. And it's honestly hard to see creators go through that.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, I think sometimes you do see people switch from gaming to IRL stuff or car stuff. We see a lot with some creators, and so I think that's maybe the reason why. But
yeah, I try to boot up. Like when I boot up my stream, I said I kind of put the focus also on video, so I have in the back of my head that whatever I'm doing on stream is something that I can maybe turn into a video. So if I get an idea of like, okay, this could be really sick to do with this thing if you did something specific that way, and then I kind of try to drag the stream in that direction if I get that idea to pop up. So I don't get stuck in doing the same thing over and over again, which is also interesting to the viewers when they realize, oh, snap, this is a video run right here. We're going to be in the video, you know? So
what about, okay, let me float this idea by you. Video title, right? I carried and accounted to a win in Warzone. How about that one? What do you think? Can we make
is
that
there a
happen?
big enough backpack for that? Or
there we go.
Okay, there we go. Hey, look, Joseph's kind of twisted now. I would be the hard carry, but Joseph's pretty good.
Hey, Garrett's been playing a lot of zombies. Have you tried out zombies yet, Nick?
Oh, I've been gaming zombies. I barely even played multiplayer. I love the fact that they went back to in Warzone or in Call of Duty to have camos like the way they more like used to be. So I've been going hard in the zombie camos. I've been leveling almost all guns in that game in zombies mode. It's just been a blast, and I think it's insane how like everyone. I know there's one person out there watching this that's like, no, I was positive about it, but almost everyone was negative about the new zombies because it was like DMC and it's trash and it's boring. It looks awful. It's garbage. But I think it's one of the like an historic events of turnaround of people's minds that actually ended up really enjoying it because it was very different. But people really locked into that old school zombie, so there was a lot of people like really worried about it. Myself included. I didn't think I'd like it at all, but when I got into it, and you know you get hooked on the quests and there's stuff to do, I've had a blast with it, and I think I said there's so many people that have had a blast with it now.
Do you
compared to what they thought?
Do you have the skin, the Bone Collector skin, and do you have Borealis yet? I gotta ask.
I got the Bone Collector skin. I haven't finished out the camos yet though.
Okay.
I'm getting close.
Nice. It's so funny you say that. Me and Joseph, we were in Discord last night. We were talking with some IRL buddies, right? And y'all were playing multiplayer. I was playing zombies. And you know, we're just again gaming with the guys, just having a good time and all. And one of your buddies was asking, like, you know, about zombies, and I was like, honestly, it's really good, and nobody thought it was going to be. We literally just said the same thing. Yeah. And it's funny because I agree. I've had the best time playing it. I can't no life it like I really want to, but it's still a ton of fun, and I'm ready for Warzone.
You do have to do accounting sometimes.
I do have to work sometimes, unfortunately, but. I'll go ahead and say this too really quickly. I don't know if you guys remember in Cold War, but they had zombies in Cold War, right? And they had the camos. But when Warzone dropped, the new one,
it took forever to be implemented, man.
It did.
Awful.
If they do that again, I'm going to be pissed. I'm not going to be
No,
happy.
I think it'll be there right away this time. Because I was like you, I grinded out that camo, and it took, what did it take, like 6 months, a year even or something before we finally got those camos in? It was a joke, man.
Yeah, I'm going to be upset if they don't do it because I'm not going for Interstellar this year, so I'm not going to try and get that. But I'll get Borealis here soon.
We should have kicked off the episode asking you about that, Nick, just about COD as a whole and how you felt about it. I mean, I think you just gave your opinion pretty well.
Man, to add on it though, with the zombies, it's got that good framework. Sure, it's like taken from DMC and stuff, but there's some things that it could do a lot to make it really, really good. Like the whole quest line right now, it kind of feels like a tutorial in a way of the quest that you have to do. I think they could bring some unique bosses, more like the final boss. No spoilers for anybody that hasn't been through it yet, but more like boss events and unique things that you do, and it would really spice up that game mode.
Yeah.
So I think they're close to having like a really awesome whole zombies.
Yeah. I'm glad they got good feedback from it because, I know coming into the game, and we talked about this on the podcast leading up to the game launch and the beta and everything, but so many people were saying this feels just like a DLC of Modern Warfare 2 from last year, which obviously multiplayer feels very similar, but I think it's good that there's that spinoff that's getting people back into the game and got people to buy it and stuff. So it's excited. We're COD people. I know me and you've talked about this, in other times, but we've always played COD and love it. So it's been cool to work with creators who play it. Shifting us back to the conversation a little bit. So you alluded to this a little bit, but just as a general question for you, what would you say is the most important thing about when you're starting off to focus on? I mean, your main overarching
advice, as a brand new creator.
Yeah, as a brand new creator, your overarching comment was to do it all, but obviously that can be super overwhelming for some people who maybe have only ever used, let's say, Instagram as a platform or maybe Twitter as a platform, and they've never tried TikTok or they've never tried YouTube. What would be your advice to them on starting off and just give them some direction to go? Because I know we talk to a lot of creators who are smaller who are kind of struggling to find that path.
Yeah. So I think for me, because speaking from my experience of how I came into the scene and stuff, and seeing how many creators, I mean, you go into, if we go on Twitch, we go into any game and you scroll down. After you scroll like 100 streamers down, there's another 1,000 that are sitting at 0 to 3 viewers. And so it's very saturated in the streamer world. And if you enjoy streaming, that's great. But put what I would do. Okay, I'm not telling people what to do, but what I would do is to pull all my focus into getting that one-hit wonder video. And it doesn't have to be a video that gets 1 million views. Shoot, if you could even get 100,000 views in a video by doing something extremely unique, where you just get an idea. I mean, it could be anything, right? So with zombies, I had a video on Facebook get almost 1 million views now in like 2-3 days. And that was just the final boss of zombies where it took them on in a different way than you normally do it. And that took off because people enjoyed it. It was different. It wasn't what everyone else is posting. So try to think of that like unique twist to what everyone else is doing, but that makes it unique. Because if you could get a video that get 100,000 views, you might get maybe 10 new viewers from that into your stream. So instead of sitting streaming for you at 1 to 3 viewers, you now have 13. You're now extremely further up on the board of streamers when you start scrolling down in the Twitch or Kick or whatever streaming platform you're on. And there's so many tools for it. So if you don't enjoy like the long form content editing, there's also clips, man. TikToks can go nuts. I've seen people and I've heard of people that have been on Facebook and are kind of using TikTok as their funneling machine now to their streaming places and other platforms that are sitting at like 1,000 viewers on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok.
No, yeah, you're definitely you're definitely not wrong about that. I think platform matters a lot less than the actual content itself. And you said that at the very beginning when you were just kind of introing yourself, is like, if you make good enough content and post it enough places, it's going to get seen, right? There's just so many eyes and so many people consuming it nowadays. if you're making good content and it's creative and it's different, to your point, I think it shows through always. People are always worried about the algorithm and this and that, but it really is just making better content will eventually get you shown.
Yeah, and if you got that, like if you manage to get that one clip, that let's say you do short form content, you enjoy to do that, and that's going to be a ticket into growing as a streamer, because most people get into content creation as a streamer, right? There's way more streamers, I feel like, than there are like gaming. When we're talking gaming specifically, gaming creators that make videos and stuff. But if you do decide that you're like, all right, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try and make a viral little thing. I'm gonna post it on TikTok. Don't just post it on TikTok. There's YouTube Shorts too. There's Facebook Reels. People will point at Facebook and they laugh, but Facebook is a huge platform. Streaming might be in the worst place it's ever been on that platform, but videos and clips too do good. So, and there's barely anybody posting the short form content there. So why not the same click that you posted on TikTok? Why not take it on YouTube and Reels, and the fourth platform that's going to come up soon with the same short form content scheme they got going?
Talk before you keep going on. Talk a little bit about Facebook. That's been a big part of your career and the growth that you've seen, and then obviously you're still producing content on that platform. Talk a little bit about that, because there's been some controversy in the scene over the past couple years, especially with Kick coming up this past year. And people leaving Facebook, contract situations. Talk a little bit about Facebook, how you got into creating content there, and then kind of the ebbs and flows of how that has happened through the past, call it 3 years.
So I hopped onto Facebook when they offered me a decent sized contract, and I was like, oh, damn, okay. I hopped up on that, and that was like right in prime time Facebook. People had already been there for years before that.
Was this previous to COVID?
Yes. So it was right before, I think.
2019, maybe?
That was a good time then for gaming as a whole. Not obviously COVID was not a fun time, but yeah.
No, but I hopped on there and videos were doing great. Live stream was doing fantastic. Excuse me, holy moly. And it was a great time, but then they kind of like, I don't know what went wrong with the live streaming thing. They had to Mr. Suck was making some kind of new VR goggle, I don't know, some kind of I don't know what the heck it was even called. What was it called? The thing he was doing with VR goggles, like a space, like a
the metaverse, right?
Yeah, that garbage, man. So he funneled about too much money into that, I guess, and then they had to cut people off of all kind of other places, which was including a lot of partner managers.
That was a nightmare, wasn't it?
Yeah, even the head partner manager that was kind of holding things together. There are, of course, still people working there, and I actually noticed recently that they hired some more people, which is great. And so it's been a rough last year on Facebook has been really rough because gaming went to poops. They had to let a lot of creators go too because they offer a lot less than what they used to.
Right.
And basically, from my understanding, without fully knowing, their contracts are based off of how much ad revenue you bring in, because obviously they want to make money back off of the money they offer you. So if you're a creator that only live streams, don't bring in a lot of ad revenue, if you don't have videos that do good too, you're obviously not going to get a stack of cash handed to you. But they're starting to go in the right direction now again. It's been a long year, almost 2 years of just not really going the right direction, but they're starting to do these broadcast channels now that are out where people can join. It's kind of like a group conversation, but where only you can talk. And they're starting to rearrange the pages and all that. Gaming completely disappeared from the mobile app itself, but that's starting to bring its way back into it. So I'm excited to see if they can actually make a move on streaming again. But for now, streaming is what it is over there. I know videos and clips and all that still perform amazingly, so that's kind of my main focus on that platform. And then, if Facebook picks up and they do great, that's fine. That's fantastic. But if they continue this way, at least I diverged into Kick too, where I sometimes bring people over to let them know that I stream over there too, so that I'm not, I have two buckets instead of one. So if one falls over, I'm still okay in the other one. Which is awesome. Definitely, yeah. So I'm glad that Kick came around with that, because Kick has been, I instantly went over my view count that I had on Facebook when I went on Kick.
Yeah. Let's talk about Kick, man. We brought up Kick a lot on this podcast, and I don't want to make this whole thing just about different platforms, but we've talked about Kick a ton, about all the big moves they've made. Obviously, tons of creators coming on. You came on with them pretty recently. what do you think about it? How do you like it now that you've been streaming on it? And then obviously, you know, some of the big changes that they've made. How do you see that kind of change in the live streaming space, or how has it?
So number one thing about Kick is I can, as a non-partner, as someone who's just started up streaming and I have an issue, you could email support and you get literally a response in like 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
Unheard of. I can sit on Facebook and wait for a week. I can sit on Twitch. I don't even remember how long that was if you didn't have a partner manager. But I think it's really unique what they got going, which is why I didn't want to not get in that ship before it sailed away. Because imagine you get in the ship and it sails, and then the wave starts hitting and you start blowing up, you know, and you can sit back and be like, oh, I should have went on that. And I didn't want to do that, you know. I wanted to be there from the get-go. Which I wasn't there from the get-go, but I joined before it really took off. So I joined their phase 2 partner program. They got these they've done 3 phases. Their overall goal with these is they invited a bunch of creators that did okay in their platform, and then they pay them an hourly wage. Now, for me, this isn't any life-changing money, but for people that just, not to say, like, I'm not saying that I make bulkers of money. I'm just saying it's not a lot they are paying for it, but still it could help people that just get started out to at least get, you know, a little extra to help get that initial boost to buy maybe I don't know, a new keyboard, a new mic arm, a new microphone, lights, whatever it may be, right? And they got this, so back to subject, they got this partner program that they're shaping now with these 3 phases. And then here in early 2024, I think they're releasing it to everybody. So if you're at a certain view count, you have a certain amount of followers, you're active this much on the platform, you can be invited to it. Basically just being a partner on Twitch, but with excellent communication. You can reach anybody in the partner manager team. There's a huge partner Discord where you can talk to all the other partners and hang out and meet new people. Or if you have any questions or any suggestions, they listen to it, which is great. And on top of that, you get paid an hourly wage. So I mean, that's great. You know, it's different. And I don't know, it feels like such an obvious thing they're doing. And it's like, why did every other platform not do it like this? Why didn't they, you know, treat their creators like this? Why didn't they make these decisions?
It's funny you say that, because now that Kick has done what they've done, you've seen a lot of other platforms.
Yeah, Twitch is starting to pull back now and be like, no, now we'll do this instead. But it's still very minimal what Twitch is doing, which is because Amazon is still the owner of Twitch, right?
Correct.
And so that's kind of what we call a money grab right there, right? Because I boot up on Twitch right now. I go click any stream, and I gotta watch like 30 to 90 seconds of ads before I can watch a channel.
Sometimes 3 minutes.
Not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I just don't want to do it.
I hate it because I will openly say, like, I'm clicking off. I'm not watching.
Yeah,
3 minutes of ads.
Too much.
Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting what you say, and one, I'm super glad that Kick's worked out for you and that you're seeing success there. I think it's awesome. I've loved seeing the different phases, because we've seen a lot of people who I had never heard of as creators getting opportunities, which is awesome, because now I'm following them, now I know about them, as well as I'm sure plenty of other people are. But also just the fact of to your point of why are they doing it? It seems so obvious. I think the main focus just being creator first, right? They're listening to people like you who've been in the space, who've had success elsewhere, saying, hey guys, what about this? And they're like, what about that? Let's look into it. And they're making change versus, you know, where Twitch for a long time, and, you know, maybe even YouTube, but definitely Facebook was just kind of like, well, we're going to do it our way, you know, and then you can take it or leave it. And then we've seen places like Mixer just completely fail because of doing that. And so I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
I think it also helps that, like, everybody knows the the founder of Kick is Stake, which is a crypto casino, and it probably doesn't take too many people to run that. I don't know, but compared to like Amazon and all this other stuff, so these guys are already probably loaded with more money than you and I can ever imagine, right?
Right.
And that's a constant funnel that's going to keep bringing in dough. So whether you like gambling or not, that doesn't matter. They're going to continue to get money. And they're just at a point where they have that FU money, you know, as people like to say, and they wanted to make this the unique streaming platform. So right now they're losing money on Kick for sure,
100%,
by doing all this. But eventually, when ads start rolling in and stuff, can they then equalize it? And are they good with just bad because they bring in so much money for their other place. It's not like they need more money. I don't think that's their end goal. They just want a really awesome platform for creators to be able to stream and do what they want to do on, which has been really visible in all they're doing. I mean, as soon as I got invited into the partner program, they already had ties with Elgato, which sent out like huge streamer packages to all the face invited creators. So lights, mics, cameras, whatever you wanted, and they're doing more work with others now that I'm not sure I can talk about yet. But it's just really visible that they're really like, it doesn't seem like there's any ill intent of like, okay, we're doing this now, but later on we can get so much money for doing this way. No, it just seems like they actually just want a really good platform they want to be the biggest platform, and it shows because if you did get to be the biggest platform, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think what you alluded to right there of them losing money on it and being backed by a stake, that's ultimately just what it comes down to. That's why jokingly I said I think we know why, is because Amazon owning Twitch, and even before that happened with Twitch being its own thing, it was about, I mean, it's a business, right? They're trying to make money, and the way it's set up and the way their ads are set up, they don't make a ton. That's why they cut back sub splits and all these different things. Kick doesn't care if they make money. They don't
have a board of CEOs.
Correct. They don't have anybody to answer to. No. Yeah, Eddie and these guys are just like, look, we're gonna make it the best. If it becomes profitable later, great. But we have stake backing it, and we're using Kick to market stake. So because a lot of the people we're putting on Kick we're sponsoring them for stake. So yeah, I think that's ultimately what it is. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's just a great thing for creators because they're getting to benefit off of them doing that. So.
Yeah, it's not like you have to gamble to be on the platform. I mean, there's some people have gambling sponsorships. Some people don't. I mean, I'm just there gaming, and it's been. I've had more viewers. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
So, well, obviously I have to cut that internet cut out. But tell me this: now that you're on Kick and everything like that, you mentioned. We were talking about like what Kick has done and everything. One thing that's been very popular is basically being able to restream your content to multiple platforms at one time. I've seen a ton of people do it with Kick and TikTok. I've seen people do it with Kick, YouTube, Twitch, all that. Do you do that, and do you enjoy doing it if you do it?
I tried it once with like my Twitch because I do have like a little less than 100K follows over there too, but I don't know. The multi-stream is not really for me. I think.
What do you see the cons of it being? Like, what are the negatives for you?
I just kind of like when I'm live one place, I want everyone to be in that place and not feel like that I'm paying more attention to one platform versus another. Of course, I mean, I still stream on 2 different platforms right now, so I can't really, that doesn't really make sense what I'm saying when I am streaming 2 platforms, but I'm not streaming there at the same time, right? So,
sure.
It's just, I don't know. Multi-stream is just, I don't know. When I'm live on Kick, it's a little different audience or a little different kind of content than when I'm live on Facebook. Facebook is a little more PG than Kick might be, for obvious reasons. Because Facebook is Facebook and Kick is Kick. But yeah, I mean, it's a great way if you do enjoy doing it to why not try it at least? Be live every platform, see if it helps you out a little bit, see if you get a little boost from one of the places, and then you can maybe make a decision one day where you're like, all right, I want to try to just stream on this platform. So everyone come together from all over the platforms if you want to watch, and then maybe you'll get a good boost on that one platform you decided to go on.
Right. I think it definitely can be good. Yeah, I think it can definitely be good
sorry.
I think it can definitely be good for discoverability, but it can be hard for trying to tune into a streamer that you like to watch every day because maybe you're chatting on YouTube and they're reading the chat on Kick and they don't see it or whatever. And I think some of that can be tough, or the alerts, it's harder to follow for the streamer themselves. But for discoverability, I mean, maybe I'll see somebody pop up on my YouTube live feed that I wouldn't otherwise see, which is cool. But.
That's true.
Tell me this: what is what is a day in the life like for you as a content creator? Because I think with content creation compared to a 9 to 5, a 9 to 5, it's said right there in the phrase 9 to 5, but with content creators, they have I mean, schedule's all over the place. So do you try and knock out content early in the morning? Or are you a late night grinder? Like what do you try? How does a day in the life look for you, Fugglet?
I try to get on like my live streaming as early as possible now. Sometimes like before this call, before we hopped in here, I was doing a couple of reels to get those out of the way. Because now that I do stream on 2 platforms, I do stream a lot of extra. So the hours adds up, right? 100 hours on one platform, and then whatever I can get on the other platform in. So it's all about managing your time. I think it's really healthy for creators to have a schedule where they at least have their streaming hours in, and then they can work around that and see, all right, where do I have some spare energy for the editing, or where can I find time for the fam? Well, hobbies, whatever it may be. Because for the longest time, I dug into it, and I just was heads down, just focusing on the content. But I just kind of completely forgot about enjoying life too on the side of it. So a lot of people think of gaming that aren't into content creation for gaming, and they think, all right, they just sit on their asses and play games for 4 to 6, 8 hours a day. That's it. Who's gonna edit your videos? Who's going to post your videos? Who's going to make your thumbnails? Who's going to come up with your titles? Who's going to come up with your videos ideas, your brainstorming, your email, your administration stuff? Who's going to do your taxes?
Who's going to run your business? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many different objects that if you want to be successful in this space, you got to be able to manage all of it, which requires an exceptional amount of time. So that's why the people kind of laugh in my face sometimes when I'm like, yeah, I work more than sometimes people that work 9 to 5. I sometimes work when I wake up till I go to bed. Like it's if you want to make it so bad, you got to be willing to show that extra effort too, that you want to make it that bad.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think so. A few things there that came to mind when you were talking. I think that number one is content creation for different people looks different. If you have a family, which as you do, as I know, and you do, it looks different for you than maybe a 21, 22-year-old kid who doesn't have a family and lives by themselves and can make content 15, 16 hours a day and then go straight to sleep and then wake up and do it again.
I could give you a good example of when I started out. I was alone, living in a little shack, and most of the times, and that was like prime of when I just started out with YouTube and stuff, I would stream here and there, and then sometimes I'd go to bed at like 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. I'd sleep some hours into the day, and then I ended up like having a really messed up sleeping schedule because I was just like, all right, at night, nothing's happening. I'm gonna get into this video and dig into it. And then, you start something, and if you don't have any responsibility, some people are wired that way. When they pick up something, they kind of just keep going at it until they're done with it. Or if you're just having fun with it, right? Because you are, as most people are having fun with creating their content. So when you start getting into it, it might be overwhelming at first to get into that video, but then it starts picking up, and then the hours just they can fly by, man, if it's an in-depth video of that you're digging into. So for sure, it looks way different now, right? Because now Nat has school and stuff, and it's like, all right, she's got to go to bed early. I got to get up early. There ain't no, so it's completely upside down of what it was in the beginning, which is healthy in a way, actually, because I think also a lot of people are very good at procrastinating, or whatever the heck that word is in English. Of just kind of pushing it back because they know I have all the time. I don't have any responsibility. I can just do it when I want to do it. I'm gonna go do this now instead. But if you just sat yourself down, like even to the people that are already successful and maybe you don't have other responsibility, sit yourself down just for a month straight and just full focus on your stuff, editing, streaming, all that. Don't start streaming more, just start putting more effort into the editing part and all that, and see what happens in your channel in a month of putting that extra mile effort in. Because now if you get to the point where you have a family, you're like, damn, I would do anything for 5 more hours in a day to work extra. Too bad.
Yeah, you're not getting a 5
you don't have
hours.
That freedom, brother.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'll say, a lot of times when I look at my schedule, it takes me an 8-hour day on things that I could have done in 5 to 6 hours. But like you said, procrastination, or, a lot of times I would just fill the time with nothingness. Like I wasn't actually being productive. And I have a daughter and I have a wife, and it's like, I I can't do that now. Like you said, that's actually healthy because now I have to get
it's
up
like
at
a
a certain
game
time.
changer.
Yeah,
Because okay, if I gotta get stuff done, I gotta get it done here. There's no like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm just gonna flop on this TV show,
Yeah.
relax for an hour or two. This just
Yeah,
if
and
you want it, you got to do it.
I'll credit Joseph and Jamari because they've done really well, to basically force themselves to focus on the results and get the stuff done, and that's been game changing for us and for our firm and everything because it's so easy, man, to procrastinate. You can say like, it's just us three doing this. And so like, you could say like, oh, we have all day. We'll get it done when we get it done. I want to play the new Call of Duty right now. But, we try and hammer it out, man. And
well, I think when a lot of people think about starting their own business and this is kind of what you're relating it to as business as a whole, which we're going to get into here in a minute, for Nick, he's running a business. For these other creators, they're running a business. You get into business for yourself because you think it means freedom. You think it means, okay, I get to work when I want to. And while some of that's true, obviously, as Nick said, he was, sleep schedule completely flipped upside down, all that is freedom. He's able to just do that. You start to realize I don't have as much freedom as I thought I did because videos I have to go on this time. If a new update drops, that means I got to get it out today. All these types of things, and then you add in a little bit of responsibility here, and a little bit of family here, and a little bit of life hits you in the face, and then it's like, wait, I need a schedule, and I think that's something that Nick we talk a lot about on this podcast when we're talking to creators of like, if we could tell you one thing, it's like make a schedule. And that's not a stream schedule. That's like truly like a schedule for
work schedule for
a
everything.
Work schedule. Yeah. And that doesn't mean make yourself a 9-to-5er because you started your own content or business or whatever. So you didn't have to be a 9-to-5er, but at least figure, maybe it's not 9 to 5, maybe it's 6 to 12 and 1 to 4, but like figure out when you're going to work because it's actually freeing when you put those time frames around it versus feeling like you're shackled by it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And the thing about the content creator thing is if you do put in slack, then you're also going to see that slack on your next paycheck from your ad revenue or whatever it is. You're going to feel it. And so it's why you think you have that freedom. Everyone has done it where they have like a Slack area in content creation where they're like, nah, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm just going to chill, relax, and then they see, wait, this isn't the numbers that I used to get a month ago. I'm gonna get back on the grind and step it up a notch, right? And so I think people also realize by doing. So hopefully,
it's just part of it, man. Running a business.
Yeah. Tell me this. So before I transition us into the business conversation, speaking to that a little bit about schedule and just how you've seen your business change. How important do you think it is to set times for breaks or for vacations even away from work? Because I know we've talked to a few creators, some of the ones we actually work with, that I talked to one a month or so ago, and he said this summer was the first time he had took a vacation in 4.5 years of making content. He had never taken more than a day or two off. How important do you think that is for burnout, but also for like actually how good your content ends up being?
Well, the thing is, when I haven't taken like long vacations. The longest I've taken was when I went back to Denmark, and for that I made this whole streaming rig in a Pelican case that could be transported without breaking, so I could stream there too while I was there at least a little bit. But even if you're just taking like a short vacation, you could do that. I'm talking to the people that aren't only streamers but do videos too and have some success with that because you're just playing ahead. Do some editing, line it up, schedule it to be released so you don't have to touch a damn thing. It just works itself. So you've done that pre-work, so now you have some time to do whether you wanted to go to the beach or go see Santa Claus on the North Pole, whatever it may be.
How important do you think that is?
Oh, really important because you can easily end down where the only thing that goes on in your life is work, and then you're like, wait, I'm doing okay. Why am I not doing anything with it? I'm just investing the money. What am I gonna like?
I think it's
important to live too, right? And not just get stuck in it, even if you find great success in doing content.
I think it makes you an uninteresting person, right? I mean, if all you do is work and that's all you talk about and that's the only thing you have going, especially as a creator, right? Where people are watching you and, people can tell, again, kind of going back to that authenticity, like, yeah, you're being yourself, but if all you are is work, then, you may not be as interesting as you think you are. You got to get out and live and do things because it really brings perspective to when you are working you know, you're really maximizing that time and you're making yourself useful rather than like beating your head against a wall and all you do is work all the time. Like, you know, you kind of get boring, I feel like.
Definitely.
And I think that's for any business. I don't think it's just content creators, but I think it's easier to see with a content creator because you're on camera. You know, you can literally see you. And if people can tell, man, people can tell when the content creators like, burn out and all that. So I think it's important. Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's a really big deal, honestly.
Yeah, whether it's like a vacation or you freaking get a motorcycle just to take it up in the hills or whatever it may be, man, live while you're living. So you might be living your dream work with whatever you do, and that goes for anything, but you gotta live it too, you know? There's so many things to do in this world. It's like, take a vacation, take a break, do something.
Yeah, especially if you do have a family and stuff like that, it's important. You know, I don't have kids yet, but just, you know, talking to you and then obviously Garrett, you have a little girl. I think that's important. You don't want to get to them to be getting to graduating high school, getting out of the house, and you're like, man, I just worked the entire time they were growing up. So,
and it goes by fast.
Yeah, no doubt.
It goes by so fast, man.
All right, shifting us a little bit into one of the last topics we're going to cover today, and we just alluded to kind of a few facets of it, but for let's talk about business a little bit. So, obviously, you're a content creator. We've just talked about your past and kind of where you are now, the journey you've had through this content creation world as your career has changed. We talked about schedules. We talked about maybe priorities a little bit and how you manage your time, which are obviously very important things when it comes to business. What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you in changing from, okay, I'm just going to grind these YouTube videos, these PUBG videos and try to get as many views as I can, to I am running a content creation business? How has that mindset shift happened for you? Do you feel like it's happened? Do you feel like you're just learning about it? And then I have a few questions off of your answer that I want to kind of dig into.
Okay. So in the beginning with YouTube is the biggest one for sponsorships. And when they started offering me quite good amounts of money for doing like a little intro or dedicated video, whatever it was, I was like, wait, that's insane. That like there's so much money in that. It's just you realize, okay, this ain't just gaming. Like the ad revenue was okay, but when sponsorships come in and they offer like 5 times of what you might have made on the ad revenue or 10 times as much, you start to realize, wait, I gotta harvest this while I'm at it, dude. This is actually a really cool sponsor deal to take, so why don't I take it? But at the same time, I mean, now that you guys are the accountant firm that I'm with, I think one of the things in the beginning that was very overwhelming for me too was the tax part of it, because as soon as you start to make money, as soon as you gotta pay tax money too. And in Denmark, that's a little different. So in the beginning, I was there. My mom works in accountant stuff, so she could kind of help me out with a lot of that. That's right, mama's boy out here. Saved me a lot of money for that too, and a lot of sweat, a lot of tears of doing that. But when I came over here to the US, and there was a brand new beast, LSCs, S corps, all this stuff, man. And in the beginning, I was like, all right, I can figure something out eventually. So I went to a local tax firm, like H&R Block, whatever. And I mean, there were nice people down there, but they had no idea what the hell I was doing or why I was making the amount of money I was making doing it. It made no sense to them. I mean, I'm in the southern state of Arkansas, so it's kind of limited of people that have up in the older age, how much they know about that stuff.
Yeah,
so
they're farming out there. They're farming and working in steel mills.
Yeah.
No, but I ended up paying way more taxes than I realized I should have paid if I'd have been with actual accountants like you guys. And I looked around for a while, and I was like, I couldn't really find anything where I was like, okay, I don't feel like this doesn't feel like it connects. But then I found you guys. I forgot who was through on Twitter.
Who was it?
And then we sat down and we figured.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it might have been. I don't remember now. But regardless, then when you guys brought it all out on the piece of paper, and it was like, all right, well, we charge this much. And I was like, okay, I mean, that's an amount of money. Will that benefit me then paying that amount of money? And then I ended up actually being shown a piece of paper how much money you save and how much you guys do behind the works of all the stuff that I had to manage of receipts and all that stuff. It just takes a huge load off, so I can just focus on the fun stuff instead, which was mind-blowing, because it was literally like I was getting all that for free, because I'm gonna end up paying a lot less in taxes than I would have if I filed them myself. A lot of content creators out there that make bogus money do their tax turbo thing, and they just go file of whatever, and then they don't even realize that they're just literally taking a fat stack of money and just lighting it up on fire, man. And it's so sad to see, but I didn't realize it was sad to see until I was actually with you guys and got introduced to all these ways of working with taxes to minimize it, if you will, but still paying your part.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you've seen that as a benefit, obviously not just for us, but also just kind of as you've grown in your career, seeing that benefit. A couple questions off of that. So one being, you talked at the beginning about brands and with YouTube getting brand deals. Have you ever worked with an agency or a specific agent, or have you always just kind of navigated those relationships yourself? And then secondary question, with working with an accountant now and these types of things, how important do you think it is to build out a really good team around you of either professionals or just maybe it's editor or, content manager around your business?
So 9 out of 10 agencies out there are pure con artist scammers. So that's all I like to call them, man. They're dog water. They'll take some of your money for doing the minimal amount of work, negotiate like butt cheeks, or it's just is not good, man. There is sure that 1 out of 10 that will go that length, but that's when you're at a certain size content creator, one size that I'm not even at yet. That's when you get, I feel like, an agency to help you get the brand deals. In my opinion, I might have slept on something that I don't know about. Someone has some kind of amazing talent agency behind them. That very likely. That's why this 9 out of 10 is bad, because there's 1 out of 10 that's great, right? But you put a business email in your YouTube and your wherever it is that you're popular at, and the deals will come right to your inbox from like either directly from the source or from an agency handling the deal on the deal's behalf. So you negotiate with them directly.
Sure.
And you push as much back as you want, and they'll end up like, maybe you'll meet at a number you want. And I don't know, it's not a lot of work to do that extra bit of making sure that you're getting what you're worth.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Nick, because I think that's probably something you've learned from experience, but just talking to creators ourselves a good bit, I don't think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people are nervous to do that, or maybe they've never navigated any kind of deal. And you got to think, some of these creators may be 20 years old, hadn't gone to school, very minimal business knowledge, and now they're getting an offer for, let's call it 10 grand for a brand deal on a YouTube video, and they're like, yes. That's all they say back is yes, I will do it. And they don't realize what they're getting themselves into, or they don't feel like they can push back. And so I think that's something that it's cool to hear you say that you're doing that, but I don't think a lot of people are confident enough or know enough to navigate that.
I feel like the prevailing sentiment is like, as soon as you start to see some level of success, like in the creator's mind, I'm not saying this is what they should do, but they're probably thinking like, oh, I gotta go get an agent. Like that's just what the
it's like a cool thing to say,
right? Yeah. And I don't know whether that's true or not. And hearing your experience, I mean, I love that you feel that way and that you've had success doing it. You're also, like you mentioned earlier, 30, and so you're a little bit more mature. You've been in the game long enough, so maybe you just do have that level of expertise that's needed that, to Joseph's point, a younger person doesn't have, and they probably shouldn't be negotiating on their own. Mm-hmm. But I love that, because you may be giving them the confidence in saying like, hey, like you can do this if you just, like you said, manage that email inbox. Push back. Yeah. Don't be afraid to push back and negotiate for yourself. I mean, I love that.
I think to our question earlier about advice, and you were kind of going down the content side of it, I think from the business side of it, that's a great piece of advice. It's like, hey, you don't have to get an agent taking 20% of your cut on your deals right off the rip. You can do it yourself, try it out, see how it goes. If you end up having 20 of them fall through, then maybe, seek some advice from someone. But yeah, I think from coming from a creator of your size who's been there, done that for years now, that's a great piece of advice.
Do you think?
Yeah, and sorry.
Well, no. I was going to ask because, going off of Joseph's second question there about building a team around you, you've chosen to use an accountant where other people may argue like, oh, you can do it yourself. They don't know the money they may be leaving on the table, or maybe they do. Yeah. They just don't care because they think they can do it quick, and that's fine. So would you argue that basically you just kind of have to pick and choose what you want to do? And this even goes to like an editor or a thumbnail artist. Like you pick and choose the things that you want to do and understand that you may be sacrificing something when a professional who does it for, that's all they do for a living, could do it better. You know, is that how you feel, or speak to that? You know, building that team up.
So for on the other subject first with the agency thing, like that was I understand like people can be afraid and can be a lot to read between the lines to a paper, and at some point if you do it yourself, you are also gonna eat dust. Or eat dirt, whatever the saying is. I had the people that got me the Facebook deal originally were really not good.
Yeah.
They took a percentage of it, but for the whole length of it while doing minimal work. They were so slow at even getting the deal through. It was borderline embarrassing. And they didn't push enough as they should have. They got me even more. And you got to think of yourself not be greedy. Okay, this isn't about asking your viewers for money. This is about asking a huge company that makes bogus money for money. You drag as much as you can of that moulage, my good guy.
I love that.
But no, they kind of screwed me over a little bit because they were like, we'll take some percentage of that and then we'll bring tons of brand deals to you. It was crickets, man. It was the whole way through. It was not a single thing. And then they tried to do it the next year too, and I was like, all right, that's enough. I'm gonna cut you guys out of it. If you feel like legal action is taken, you go ahead. But
so some of that experience you have
done.
was learning the hard way.
Yeah, you learned the hard way.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I wanted to make a point of is like, I didn't have it all perfect in the beginning, but I liked also doing it. So it kind of like learned by doing too.
Definitely.
But I think a team behind you is magnificent. I mean, it also depends at the end of the day, it's how much money do you make off of doing what you're doing? What can you afford? But if you're at a point where you need these nice gents here to help you out, then you're at a point where you could also start thinking about expanding your other areas. If you're doing everything on your own right now, and that's something that I need to get into too, is getting some form of help with editing or something behind the lines, to give yourself more time to do what you're the best at you doing with content. Whether it's just streaming or streaming and the ideas or streaming and the intros for the videos, and then you could maybe ship that over into an editor that's ready on standby. I recently just bought a huge server that I have set up now that I can instantly. It works like a Dropbox or a OneDrive or whatever you may use for file sharing. That my creators or editors that I'll get eventually will be able to just drag the footage from and put the videos back into too. So it's all about making the process as easy for you as you can. So speaking to the way of accounting has made my life a lot easier where I don't have to worry about that. Sure, I still have to worry about paying taxes, but a lot less, but they're taking care of it. I know they're taking care of everything. If you have an editor and you've gone through the process of getting them into the system that you like to use and all that, you can save a lot of time doing that too. Sure, it's more money spent, but it's more money, it's more time saved that you get to spend on other revenue areas. Or whether it's some people handling your administrative stuff, business emails, sponsorships, whatever it may be. It'd be time saved where you could do what you're best at too. So if you're not the best at all of it, if you prefer to just do some of it, a team can be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Stone is a classic example. StoneMountain64 on Facebook. He's got the whole shenanigan. He's got editors behind him too. He started a pipeline, which is for like new streamers, which is a great concept for people that are getting into streaming too. But he's gone through of the whole setup of it, which I'm sure is very tedious of getting people on board and making sure they do what they do. So I'm sure there's some brain damage from doing that too. But eventually, when it's all running, it's working and it's running, and then you find more time for doing what you prefer to do in what you're doing. So
it's such a good point, man. I think, and the point you're talking about is something that we've repeated so many times to people. But it looks different in each genre of business in each industry, but it's the same gears in the background working, right? And it's setting something up to be able to work with as little of your time as possible. And that seems counterintuitive, but it's like if Garrett here is really good at taxes, so he starts a tax firm, but then it's all dependent on Garrett doing the taxes, then how can that ever grow, right? Because now Garrett's going to run out of time. And we just talked about schedule and family and life. And so you have to build in of like, okay, how can I scale this? How can I build this out? And I think that's something that
it's hard.
Yeah, it is very hard.
7 years into it, I still don't have it on lockdown. So it takes a lot of self-discipline too.
I mean, you just noted to it, right? Of building out a team of editing. It's like you would think some people probably would look at your YouTube channel or, the size of it is, or look at your stream and your concurrent viewers and be like, this dude probably has a whole team and editors and all this. And you're like, you're still trying to make those decisions and figure it out. So it's not to say that it's easy.
No, it's definitely hard. And by the way, appreciate the kind words. Obviously, we talked about authenticity beforehand. That's all we could ever hope to do. And, we appreciate your authenticity and coming on here and talking about all that. Running a business is hard, man. At the end of the day, you can say what you want. It's great. You sacrifice the 9 to 5 to work 24/7, it feels like. But I will say this. I don't think, again, authenticity. I don't think you'd be doing it if you didn't love it. I love what I do. I think Joseph and Jamarian, I think we all have a great time here getting to work with, people like you. It's awesome for us. We enjoy, the creators we get to watch and work with and all that. There are creators that I've been watching for years, and to me, it's just, I still have to kind of pinch myself. I feel like I'm dreaming like, oh, I get to actually work with these people now because, on any given day, I would just, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I would still be tuning into, content creator streams like you. I'd still be coming through watching because it's just a fun world and a fun industry to be in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it, man. I love what we do. We talk about the negatives, the pros and the cons, but I don't think any of us, at least on this call, would be doing it if we didn't love it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think it's cool too, just to be able to get on this podcast and talk to you, to be able to open some maybe smaller creators or people who are thinking about getting into content creation, open their eyes to kind of what the background looks like, right? What happens behind closed doors, not as far as, money or things like that, but really like, what are the struggles? What are the things you've had to learn the hard way? What are the things they should be doing or changing about their business? Because we've definitely talked to some people that are very successful in this industry who definitely don't have it all together. And that's really cool to hear your perspective on that, but also know that they can still get better and still, grow. It's really cool.
Yeah. That's the good thing about it. It's an endless spring of you can be better at it. Like, it doesn't stop. The world, like AI is coming in now. Everything is constantly evolving. So you're only going to get left behind if you choose to be left behind, if you don't want to get with the times and put in the work and adapt, if you will. Right. So.
No doubt. Well, we really appreciate your time. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say or shout out anybody for being able to come on. Where can people find you at the very least? Let them know. We'll have the links in the description, but where can people find you to tune in if they want to check you out?
Kick.com/Fugglet. That's where the party's at right there.
You mentioned you're on Twitter as well, right?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter too. That's like Fugglet_TV or something like that. Funky. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Been a good time. Hope I could give some clarity to some things that people may have some questions about. And if not, you can always come in and ask me too. Yeah. Open book.
Well, we certainly appreciate you. For everybody who's tuning in, who's stuck around to this, for this long, thank you for coming through. Thank you for watching. Obviously, go check out Fugglet, one of our favorite creators that we've had the opportunity to work with. Links will be in the description, like Joseph mentioned. And this has been another episode of the Boardroom Podcast. Thanks for coming through. Like and subscribe.